Okay, hello, Bob Jackson here. I'm the K-12 educational liaison for the PRISM project at Rose-Hulman. This is going to be a video lesson on games that you can integrate into your Moodle courses. Just this year we did add the third-party plugin that has some games available that you can actually integrate into your Moodle course or courses. And most of the time I'd say use these games for review of terms, review for quizzes or any type of assessments, or for your students to apply the terms or vocabulary that they've learned in your course. Okay, so let me show you what I'm going to show you. What I'm going to show you on this one is Crossword, and I might talk just a little bit about some of the other ones. But for all practical purposes, the one that I'm talking in this application is a Crossword. It's a nice, easy game that you can add to your course for a means of students reviewing and have it integrated with some of the things you're already doing on your course. Okay, so I'm on my chemistry course here. Okay, I'm going to come down to the section I want to put the game in of my course or the unit. Okay, so I come down, I'll click on add an activity or resource. Okay, just like I do on most all the things you add to your course. Okay, and then within here you're going to see games. Okay, there's Crossword, Cryptex, it's kind of neat, Hangman, Hidden Picture. Hidden Picture seems to me to be the one the most complex or complicated to set up. Millionaire Game, Snakes and Ladders, and the Sudoku is the last game that we have. Okay, what I'm going to show you is the game Crossword. Okay, and you'd click on it and you'd get this page. Okay, now then I'm going to cheat in the fact that I'm going to go to one that I have some settings already in, so I don't have to spend the time with it. Okay, so it's Crossword. Okay, so you clicked add an activity. Okay, and then you would see this. Okay, it just I just switched to one I've already got set up so I can show you how to put all the settings in a little bit faster in this video lesson. Okay, so when you're setting up the Crossword, you got to realize the settings that you have to put in order to link. You're going to link this game to either a glossary or a question bank of questions that you've already got in your course. Okay, those questions could be coming from quizzes or tests that the students have taken, or it could also be assignments, of course, or to a glossary. Now, what I recommend on the Crosswords is using a glossary, because Crosswords seem to be more for definitions and for vocabulary type terms. It's just easier to do. Okay, so I would type in the name for my crossword puzzle. Okay, and I've just put crossword. Okay, you could put like crossword puzzle 1, or you could put crossword puzzle, whatever the name of your unit is. Okay, if you want to put some instructions on your course page for the game for your students, you can put it here. If you want it to appear on the front page of your course, you have to click here. If you want some instructions to appear that you've typed up when they open the game, you can type them here. Okay, now then that's up to you to do. I'm not going to do that on this one. Okay, now then, source of questions. This is the most important setting on this game, and actually is on all the games. Okay, I'm selecting glossary. Okay, you can select questions, or you can select quiz. Okay, if you select questions, then you're going to see down here that you're going to be able to select from your question banks. Okay, if you select quiz, then it's going to give you a drop down here to select a specific quiz where it's going to take questions out of. Okay, I'm selecting glossary. Okay, so now if you select glossary, you must have had on your course, and I'm going to go to place on the course here to where and show you that you have to make a glossary. Okay, so like I have a glossary right here, and this is the Chem 1 course. Okay, so besides the quiz, before I make that quiz up and I'm going to end up using, or before the crossword's made up, I've got to have a source for my terms and my questions to come from, okay, to be used in the games. Okay, so I have a glossary here. I'm just calling it chemistry glossary, where I have my terms in it. Okay, now then, you do want to keep them pretty simple, realizing you're going to be using them for a glossary, so you really don't want very complex definitions or paragraphs of information on your terms. Okay, then another thing you have to be aware of with your crosswords is you have to realize when you have words in your glossary that are terms in the glossary that have spaces, in other words has more than one word for the term, like this one says alkaline earth metal. There are spaces here. You got to realize that for when you're doing your settings on your games, whether to accept word terms with spaces or not. If you try to set up a crossword puzzle and it errors on you, this is the most common error that I've seen, is that you never set your crossword puzzle up to accept the fact that you're using terms that have spaces in the words, and in other words have more than one word. Okay, but you have to use a glossary. You can keep using the same glossary for multiple games, okay, and you can build your glossary as you go through a school year. Okay, you can also build glossaries where students add words to your glossary, but that's up to you. Okay, so this is a glossary where you see I've built, and they're simple terms. The glossary is also added through the add an activity or resource. Okay, if you look on that page, you'll see that glossary is right here. Once you add it and give it a name and add it to the course, then you will be able to actively use the glossary and add terms to it. Okay, it's pretty simple. Okay, but you must have a glossary before you can select glossary here. Okay, so once you select glossary, and I am back on the game setting. Okay, so you go source your questions, glossary, and then I just saying you must make sure if you don't have a glossary built on the course, then it's not going to work. It'll error when you try to launch the game. Okay, so then you select the glossary here. Okay, I only have one glossary on this course. Okay, Unit 1 Games Glossary. Okay, if you have multiple glossaries, more than one, like a different glossary for each one of your units, you have to select it here. Okay, so now then, you'll see that these settings are for if I chose question or quiz. So I'm not going to select anything down through here since I selected glossary. Okay, now then, maximum number of attempts, you can set here how many attempts your students can have at this if you're going to give them a grade. So you could give them, you know, one attempt, you could give them multiple attempts. Okay, disable summarize. I use no. Okay, so to summarize when they're completed it. Okay, and you can show a high score for a given number of students. Okay, a high score for just one, or you can go like the top 3 or whatever. Okay, I'd just go like 1 was the high score so far. Okay, grade, if you're going to give them a grade, this is where you can put a grade assignment, grade category. whether it's going to go in assignment as a quiz or whatever your categories are in your course. You want to be sure and select that. Okay, if you go not categorized, then you wouldn't be doing it for a grade. Okay, but I would put it in like my assignments and labs. You give it a grade. Okay, however many terms you have in it, probably, unless you're given like 2 points for each one. Okay, give what the maximum grade. Oh, I'm sorry, I explained this wrong. This is grade to pass. Okay, I put 7. Maximum grade, I put 10. There's total possible of 10 points. Okay. Now then, if you give them multiple attempts up here, then your grading method, you could average the grade if you give them multiple attempts, or you can give highest grade. Okay, that would be up to you. It's just like on quizzes that you can do similar settings. Okay, you'll want to put an open and close date for your game if you're just going to have it available for a certain amount of time. If you don't put anything here, then it's going to be open on your course from the time you open your course. Okay, crossword options. Okay, these settings here, and this will take some practice for you to see just how big you want your crossword puzzle. Okay, this is the number of rows and columns. I've got this in at 15 and 10. You'll see it looks pretty reasonable, but you can play with that and either make it larger or smaller. Okay, maximum number of words. You can say how many words you want in it. Okay, I've got 12 on this one. Allow space in words. This is where I was talking on the glossary. If you have like physical changes where it's a term that has 2 words and there's space in between, this setting has to be selected correctly, or else this crossword game will not accept your glossary terms. If you have terms in your glossary that have multiple number of words in them, if this is put on no, then the game will error out and not work. Okay, so you have to select the right setting there. Okay, the layout, this tells you where they put the sentences for the actual crossword. So like if it was for physical changes, you're saying a change in state or form, that'd be the phrase. Where do you want those at? Okay, you want them right of the crossword, or you want them on the bottom? Okay, you can select. That's totally your preference. Okay, and I believe the rest of these, most of you are just going to leave the default settings. Okay, and then you click Save and Return to Course. Okay, then if I go to that game and I play it, okay, I'm right here. I launch the game. Okay, now then, your screen would be, you'd go right to this, but since I've done this multiple times, I got the screen I got in between there because it asked me whether I wanted to start over again, essentially. And here's my crossword puzzle. Okay, you see I've got 15 rows. Okay, and then the columns across here. Okay, and then my terms are down here. Now then, I've got the terms down here at the bottom. You can also set them up over here at the side. Okay, whichever way you want. But then here they are. The terms, just as they are in my glossary, is here. If I put a picture of them in my glossary, it'll appear with it, and then they'll type their terms in. Okay, and then to teach your students, they can check their crossword by clicking here. Check crossword at any point as they go through it. Okay, and it's not going to give them the answers at that. Okay, that's a crossword game. It can be a good means of review with your students, and just put one little type of game that's a pretty easy one to set up. If you have questions or need more information on this, please do email me. If you would like to make any videos yourself, please submit them to me. I'd love to put them on our website for you to be sharing. Okay, have fun. This is a wrap.